Okay, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, or good evening. I'm extremely delighted to be here. We have more than 175 registered participants to this webinar, which obviously shows how important and how timely this topic is. My name is Arnaud De Bruyn. I'm going to talk about Enginius surveys and how you could use them in your classrooms now with the help of AI assistant. Just quick background, I'm a professor of marketing at ESSEC Business School, and I've been involved in the development of Enginius for the last 20 years, using it extensively in the classroom myself. Today we're going to talk very briefly about Enginius surveys. So we're going to spend about 20 minutes explaining how it works. We don't need more. It's super easy to do. And basically, we are going to introduce very quickly what it is, what it's not. We're going to run a live demo of how to develop a survey, collect data, and analyze it in real time, and give you some tips and tricks about how to use it in the classroom. I've been using it extensively. It's now part of my teaching arsenal, and it makes classroom very lively when you present something in class. Just a 20-second reminder, Enginius is a marketing analytics platform. You have different models. You have up to more than 30 case studies, many teaching resources in the background that many people still forget they exist, like videos, slides, templates, and so on. But most importantly, it's free. Remember that the developers of Enginius are instructors themselves. And so we've decided that the entire platform would be used and free for instructors. That includes the survey. So if you want to develop a survey yourself and share it with the students and collect data from them, it's absolutely free to do. Please go ahead. If you want to demonstrate how conjoint analysis works in your class, go ahead. It's completely free. Again, you only need to register as an instructor. The only thing that where you would need a paid license is if you ask students to do something in Enginius, like doing a case study or collecting data or running a survey themselves. But as long as you are the one using the platform, even if it's in a public environment, it's completely available to you free of charge. Now, what is Enginius survey and what it's not? Well, very quickly, I've tried many years ago to ask my students to collect data so that they could run it in Enginius. And it was not easy to do because you have to clean the data. It has to be in a very specific format. And so basically, Enginius surveys have been designed to collect safely and with a lot of automation and a lot of guardrails, the data your students need to do a segmentation study, to do a conjoint analysis, to do price optimization, to do text analysis, and so on and so forth. These models sometimes need a very strict structure, and so the Enginius surveys have been designed to make sure that your students will use these guardrails automatically and cannot go away from that. Now, what it's not is a replacement for Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey. It's not an all-purpose survey. It doesn't have branching. It doesn't have randomization. We do not collect personal data, and so on and so forth. So you have to realize that it's an amazing tool for a very specific purpose. But if you try to use it outside that purpose, then you are going to be a little bit frustrated, most likely. Now, how does it work? Well, you are on the Enginius website, you launch the dashboard, and you are in the dashboard we all know with the case studies, tutorials, templates, and all the models over here. Now, the part we're going to talk about today is surveys. So I'm going to show you, number one, how to create a survey from scratch. And then I'm going to go back and show you how easy it is to analyze those surveys once they've been done. The easiest way to create a survey is directly from the dashboard. You go to Survey, Create a new survey. That's the first option, and it will guide you automatically to the survey design dashboard, where you just enter a name. Let's say I want to do a positioning map about sports shoes in Europe. Okay, so I'm going to say sports shoes or sport brands. You have an introduction to welcome the users. You can add a logo, an image, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do it here. Same at the end of the survey, you can redirect the users to a different website. Those options, those welcoming and explanation options, are mostly used when you ask your students to run a project, run a survey with others, where they have to explain what the survey is all about. Here, I'm just going to skip it in the interest of time. Now, the key is these survey blocks. And these are the blocks we're going to use to create the survey we want with the exact format we desire. So I said I wanted you to do a positioning map. You take positioning and you drop it here. It's going to ask me, do I want to use the AI assistant? Not yet. I'm going to do it in a second. And so because it's a positioning map, we know exactly what the survey needs. The survey needs objects, which are going to be positioned. The survey needs dimensions like expensive, high quality, fashionable, and so on and so forth. And these dimensions need to be captured along a survey, such as, for instance, if I put expensive and Adidas, I want my customers or my respondents to say, how do you perceive the following in terms of being expensive? And Adidas is one of the options that's going to be rated. Now, of course, especially if you want to go quickly, or if you need your students to have a bit of help in designing the survey, having that structure is good, but if they ask the wrong question, then it's not going to help tremendously. So we've added AI assistants. Either automatically when you drop, as you've seen, I just said no, or you just go here, design a position survey with the help of AI, and it's going to tell you what you want to study, right? So I want to study sportswear, uh, shoe brands, and I'm going to do it in Europe and focusing on a specific customer segment of 18 to 25-year-old woman. Okay. Do I want to include an object? Yeah, sure. Let's say Adidas. And there are multiple options. We're not going to the details. You don't need to specify all of that, right? These are options, and then you generate. So what it's going to do is to design the survey in the background, both in terms of looking at the most relevant shoe brands in Europe for that specific segment, then do some research about what kind of dimensions need to be included, and then finally, how they need to be worded, how to word those questions. So here, it shows a lot of brands. It's not always the case. It has decided to include Adidas, of course, I ask it to do it, Nike, Puma, New Balance, Reebok, and so on and so forth. And then the questions are, okay, your respondents will need to rate those brands in terms of quality, price, usability, brand image, trendiness, and so on. And all the questions have been designed. There are a few options here I'm not going to talk about in details, but they're specific to each model. And now your survey is done. Now, maybe you need to, maybe I'm going to delete some brands which I think would make the survey too long, or I'm going to, I can always modify it, add some questions. and so on and so forth, right? So here it says you have 15 objects. Please note that each respondent will only be presented with 7. The reason is if students ask for 15 brands, people will be tired. And so Enginius automatically will randomize which brands are presented based on what users are familiar with. And that's it. The survey is done, right? So the next step, you save the survey just in case. It should have been saved before, but you are never too paranoid. And you can preview the survey. Of course, I didn't change the introduction, so it says stupidly enter an introductory message. Then it will ask me which brands are you familiar with, and I know Converse, Nike, Reebok, Puma, and Vans, and New Balance. Continue, and then the survey will go on, right? And that's basically what the survey will look like. So what you need to do to share it with the students now is to activate the survey. Once it's activated, it's frozen. You cannot change it anymore. You cannot add additional brands. And so you really need to activate it at the last minute once you are absolutely sure that it's what you want to do. Activate the survey, and once it's activated, you can distribute the survey, which means you click on distribute survey, you have a link, copy, and then you share that link with your students. Or your students, if they do a term project, share that link with the respondents. And so what I've done regularly is to do online surveys in class. And I'm going to show you an example of what I did. So I was discussing the concept of conjoint analysis. And conjoint analysis is an extremely widely used technique in product design and market share predictions, but it's a bit obscure to understand how it works and also how boring the surveys are. And so I said in class, okay, we're going to do a conjoint survey together. What kind of topic do you want to study? And it so happens that they were, as a group, discussing a study trip. That specific class had to decide on a study trip they would go on the next year. And so I said, okay, let's do that. And so we designed the survey. We didn't use the AI assistant. We did it as a group exercise in class. I could have. And the data, as you can see, I have a lot of surveys here. I use them a lot. What you do is in Enginius is simply to open the survey that has collected data from your students. And here, I ask them to rate different products, different destinations in terms of how easy it is to have access to companies there. Obviously, if you go to Stockholm or New York, you don't have the same access to companies. Food quality, which is something apparently students care a lot about. And by the way, it says food quality, but I think alcohol was included. The kind of weather they were going to travel in February, so freaking cold, or just okay. And then travel time, how far is it from ESSEC Business School, because that was a big factor in their decisions. Now, all the data is here. What's interesting is because it has been designed within Enginius, the system knows exactly what is what, meaning that it immediately creates a quick link for conjoint analysis. And when you click on that, it knows already where the conjoint design is. It knows exactly what estimation method to use. It knows exactly where the data is. It doesn't have simulations yet. You could add them manually if you want to. And if you click run, you will analyze the data from your students in class. And so we had a laugh actually analyzing the results because when you look at what people care about, well, yeah, superior access to companies is important for a lot of them, but frankly, the food quality is much closer than I thought to access to companies. And so we laughed about the fact that for business students, they seem to care a great deal about food and weather and not as much about access to companies as one would have thought. And so I'm not going to the details. Of course, this is not a seminar about conjoint analysis. It's a webinar about how to use the surveys. But that's basically it. You design the survey, you drop the survey blocks. You can ask the AI assistant to fill it out for you. You can modify it, verify, of course, launch the survey, collect data, open Enginius. The data opens in Enginius immediately, and it runs the right model with the right options. So there is no user error possible because everything is done automatically for you. We do not forget that some models need that option, or you don't have to select manually where is the data, or having embarrassing situation where you misclick or stuff like that. Basically, everything is done automatically. So, in which situation have I used that? Well, actually, in quite a few. Sorry, I'm just moving that away. Here we are. And so I've done in-class demonstration as I've shown you now. So for instance, demonstrate positioning maps in class or do conjoint analysis. I've done price optimization as well, asking them to to select one product we discuss together, and then I ask them through the Gabor-Granger method how likely they're willing to buy different prices, and then we discuss immediately how price sensitive the group is, and we can do segmentation on that and so on. I've done group exercise quite a lot. So for instance, I would design a survey before the class begins, and I would have like 12, 15 questions about what do you expect from this class. And then at the beginning of the class, I would actually analyze the data and show everybody's expectations, do a segmentation study on that, show immediately that you cannot please everyone with the same class because expectations are different. And that's exactly the same thing in business, and that's what we're going to learn in this course. That's amazing. And then finally, term projects. This is the heavy lifting, but actually for the term project, I asked them to go in the wild, identify a business problem they'd like to work on, and then design the survey and run a survey, do the analysis, make a presentation in class, basically develop an entire case study from scratch. And to that avail, I'm actually using a virtual teaching assistant where I ask my students to talk to that virtual TA when they design the term project, so that they refine exactly what kind of problem they need to study, whether it's a good idea, whether it's interesting enough, whether it's feasible, whether they put the bar too high or too low, and so on and so forth. And what's very interesting is that I 3 weeks before the deadline, I went to my students and I told them, look, no one has asked me any question about the term project. Are you sure everything is okay? And they said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And, okay. And then 2 weeks before the deadline, I still had zero question, nothing. And so I went back to them and said, are you absolutely sure everything is okay? Do you know what you want to study? Have you started collecting data? And everybody was saying, yeah, absolutely fine. And then 2 weeks later, we had the in-class term project presentations. I've never had projects so good, ever. So the combination of virtual teaching assistants addressing the question in real time about what's a good project to design, and the ability to collect data with Enginius surveys, which really, I mean, it constrains them in what they can do, but it avoids screw up, basically. Which is a huge plus when you do term project. And so if you are interested, I'll share the prompt I'm using for the virtual TA. And of course, the survey is freely available to any instructor. And that's about it. So if you have questions, the easiest way, I think, Mike, if you're there, is to use the chat, because I don't think you can unmute. Maybe you can do it now. But if you have any question, please feel free to use the chat. And we'll see where we go. Otherwise, thank you for your attention. I hope you will enjoy those tools as much as I have, because they really change the way I'm teaching now. And with students, I almost said kids, with students who are increasingly, I mean, it's increasingly hard to capture students' attention. And I realized that as soon as you add interactivity, as soon as you add changes in the path of how you teach, as soon as you ask them to study or analyze something they have created, their level of attention spike tremendously in the classroom. It's great for them, it's great for you, and let's not lie about that. It's also great for your teaching evaluations. With that, okay, we have one question here, which is the possibility of combining different modules. Absolutely, I didn't talk about that. Let me show it to you very quickly. So let's go back. Imagine that I want to do a segmentation study, and then for each segment, I'd like to find the optimal price point for each segment. It's actually very easy to do. All you need to do, and I'm going to go pretty quickly here, is you drop a segmentation module, right? And by the way, for the segmentation block, the AI is amazing. It's probably one of the best I've seen. You drop a segmentation block here, and then you drop a price block there. And so when you analyze your data, you will have both the possibility to segment your respondents. And then after that, once you've identified the segments, you can compute price optimization module per segment, which works really well. It requires a bit of data manipulation, so don't do it in the classroom before doing it in your office in a safe environment, but that's really good. And yes, so we will send. We have a question from Essam about sharing the assignment. I'm going to share everything. I'm going to send you the document I share with my own students, and also the prompt we use for the virtual TA. If you're using Gemini or something else, you can actually create a virtual TA with those prompts very easily. And so we'll send an email with the link to those resources to all those who participated. Knowledge is done to be shared. So we are very open about it. Okay, no more question, 25 minutes stop. Exactly what I was hoping. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you found it interesting. I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.